Hi, I'm Catherine. With 51 years dedicated to the early years industry, sharing my journey is a delight, but keeping 51 years short is going to be a bit of a challenge. My passion for this field began during the summer picnics with my grandparents in the park, where I naturally gravitated towards the little children. Back at home on the farm, I played schools with the cattle in the barn. They were very attentive when I called the register or told them a story. I love cows, but my heart eventually chose children over animals. At 14, I did some voluntary work in what was known then as a mentally and physically handicapped hospital, and I visited Great Ormond Street with a view to being a children's nurse, but I didn't feel comfortable. I did my first proper job in a day nursery, and I had a pay packet of £5. So it was to be the NNEB. But having been behind in reading and writing at 11, getting good grades at school was difficult and exams were hard to pass. I stayed on at school and got my GCSE in English to go into college. Starting in the January term at almost 18, I found something that I was good at for the first time. Assessments and exams passed with flying colours. I've been very fortunate to work in all sorts of establishments, from prem baby units to children's homes, special schools, primary schools, residential and day nurseries, and stints as a nanny. At college, I had decided I'd open my own nursery and do the pilot advanced NNEB, which I did in Ipswich. Since then, I've had numerous qualifications to support whatever role I've been in. I have decided to share just a few career moments with you. The first is about the 2 nannying jobs, particular ones, that moved me into a realm of society. One being chauffeur driven with my charges in a Rolls Royce around the sights of London, and another living in a huge house that had gold-plated taps in the bathroom and my own wing. Nannying, though, wasn't for me. I moved into Hackney. Another culture shock for me in the 70s, a diverse society that I wasn't used to. I quickly became a room leader, Bluebell's family group there. Here I learned to drive and I gained my love of reggae. With a father now in Australia, I was set to go and open my nursery there. But that didn't happen as I fell in love. Having been back several times, I'm pleased, actually, that I didn't go. Special educational needs, which began in Ipswich, was the next phase of my journey, and I could identify with the children's struggles and enjoyed finding interventions and writing up plans for helping teams be consistent with behaviour expectations. Those old-fashioned behaviour management plans. In one residential school, where I learnt so much, I organised every child to have their own garden plot. It was great to give them something they could really be good at. I returned to one school job knowing I wouldn't have to work weekends, but it wasn't written in the contract, and I had to do them unhappily. And my father-in-law suggested I look to begin my nursery, so that's what we did. We found a new house that could be extended and started with 15 children in 1985. Playing, learning and achievement was our mantra. 1 full-time and 3 part-time nursery nurses to help me. I remember looking at the tiny chairs. Day nurseries just didn't provide education in those days. It was left to school after the child's 5th birthday. But my nursery was the first in town, and we did early years education, and I was driven to continually work to do it better. As such, keeping on top of children's individual needs stemming from what I had learnt in special education, it was hard work to do it at a standard I wanted. Having a tech husband, knowing what is now called Spark Early Years software was conceptualised. My 15-place nursery was extended to 20 places, and soon after a second building was bought from a builder who deferred £10,000 for a year so I could get the mortgage. Now I have had my challenges and triumphs. The first nursery, for example, there was not enough room to build. The toilets had to be paper thin to get the floor space. I had to be registered for VAT. Even the VAT man came to inspect, only to find out I didn't have to be registered at all. searching high and low and finding a way to finance the expansion to the second nursery only came about due to not giving up. Eventually I had 4 nurseries. For many years all were outstanding, often on their first inspection, and had many awards attached to them. I became an assessor of the NDNA's quality counts and an Ofsted inspector as I ran the nurseries. I did some consultancy work too, which included working in China. Having my nurseries for over 30 years has allowed me to help other settings and be empathetic to their problems. It's not easy running a setting. Systems and staff believing and acting upon your vision and mission is essential. I learned to stop rescuing everyone and coach them to problem solve, backed up with policies and procedures. Also to run my passion, these nurseries, as a strong business where I can invest time and money to help children become sociable, confident, self-motivated learners. When things went wrong, and there's a list of some of the things you can read on the Spark Early Years website, putting the children at the centre of practice helps focus on what's important. I'm always keen to get things right for children, so staff training and development were part of our ethos. Finding out about the latest research or technique was fuel for improving quality. I set up training courses for EDNA, the Essex Day Nurseries Association, and later our own training and assessment centre with CASH, delivering courses for schools and MVQs in early years care and education. A strategy to help with the recruitment crisis we experienced in the late 90s. We used the local pub for our exam room, as all groups had to come together. I never thought I would be opening a cash envelope of exam papers for other people to do. At this time, the software had been developed to become the backbone of our organisation, and everyone was aligned. The next step was to move from development and learning to add administration software. Our experience of different kinds in the market was not great. While researching online, I found software that was new to me and developed by a parent using a nursery. It was impressive and we embraced it across the 4 nurseries. Later, this was integrated into Spark software as another problem solution and one of the extra modules we were developing, including a bilingual version for China. Following 2 years of twisted and relentless bad press in local social media, where ex-staff fuelled conversations and where my former status as an Ofsted inspector became the reason for getting favourable inspections, alongside the lure of new nurseries opening and the challenge of doing it well on government funding, we began to struggle with a 50k overdraft. With the family suggesting I could still concentrate on the software, the decision was taken to close them. It was a sad time and I grieved for years. However, I am now a founder of an EYFS nursery in Shenzhen, China. It is another new culture, but it's so great to see Chinese children experiencing play and a less structured education experience than they would typically have. Something else I'd never planned to do. The NNEB in its day was the only qualification. What was known as childcare was changed to childcare and education when nursery vouchers arrived, then early years, but now it seems to be back to childcare in many circles. Preschools were playgroups, often run by a bunch of well-meaning and needy parents. Back in the 70s, it was a vocational path to work with children, viewed wrongly that any female could do it, and now it is a profession with higher and further qualifications. Nursery nurses became known as nursery practitioners or early years educators. Regardless of qualification, being able to deliver practically is of utmost importance, and that is understanding child development and what makes each child tick. Personalities, culture, that cultural capital, their interests, schemes, evaluating the here and now. There is now a greater opportunity to base ethos and pedagogy upon research. This research shows many things about how important early years are for each child and how high quality provision positively impacts children's lives. With 90% of a child's brain fully grown before school, how a child's exam results right into university and life beyond is set by the life blueprint created in the early years. And that's amazing. Helping practitioners help children understand the natural reaction of their bodies to external stimuli fascinates me. Good riddance to those behaviour management programs that I used to write and those behaviour policies I followed and wrote in the past. Lastly, play. How this is now taken more seriously as a natural avenue facilitating development and learning. In 2021, I started a YouTube channel. Can't take it all to my grave, can I? It's called Spark Early Years. Now, I don't care too much about what I look like in videos. I think this is my 150th. I can't take, as I said, my learning to the grave. I've discussed all sorts of subjects with experts, particularly around their theme within early years. There's always something to learn. And I love the consultancy I do and talking to settings using Spark each week and helping them get it right for the educators, the parents, and ultimately the children. I was once told that a nursery nurse need never be out of a job. That's true today, as it's always been. A professional early years educator keeps moving with the times. And my journey continues. Bye for now.